Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to the SwissBorg Launchpad AMA. I'm joined today by our fearless co-founder Anthony. Thank you so much for joining. I'm joined by Daniel as well, PM and the product manager in charge of the Launchpad. And of course, the one and only Shane from our SwissBorg Venture arm, bringing us the experience and the insight from the VC world. Welcome everybody.
Thanks, Alex. Really appreciate you putting this all together. And wow, I'm loving the countdown and I'm loving the style. It looks familiar.
It was so dramatic, right? The count. I don't know if you were in the same countdown lobby, like the music and the intensity.
I like it.
Yeah, we're gonna bring some action here on a Monday afternoon. We got some.
It fits the seriousness of the conversation.
Exactly. Because we got some big news, right? So a lot of our community borgers might have seen an article that went out last week announcing the Launchpad. And now we brought the thought leaders together to answer some questions. So we have a bunch of community members joining us. Welcome everybody. We also have some questions that we have gathered. And I think, Danny, is it okay that we start with you, the PM and the mastermind behind all of this?
I won't go with the mastermind. It's a big compliment, but yeah, absolutely. Let's go for it.
Wonderful. So can you tell us a bit more about the journey of developing the Launchpad?
Wow, yes. The Launchpad, I mean, it's absolutely crazy that we are here today. Thinking about, if you would have asked me 6 months ago, or anybody here, I think, whether we'd be here today before 2023 talking about the Launchpad, I think we could have all agreed that would have been ludicrous. You know, we had, in the middle of the bear market, we've developed not only thematics, but now we're bringing the big third product of development through this bear market, which is the Launchpad. And looking back at how it started, I think, you know, the Launchpad has been in discussion, and I think Anthony can speak more to that later on, since a while at SwissBorg, certainly before I joined. But there's certainly been a shift at one point this year where we thought, okay, we have this Launchpad in our vision to let's make this happen now. And there was a very good reason for that. And I think this speaks a lot to the strength of this product and why it's going to succeed and it's going to do amazing. It really all started when this whole crypto collapse happened, when Luna started. Because the ricochet of Luna was the downfall of so many of our competitors, right? And we thought, you know, at one point we were looking at these competitors who had so much more financing than us, so much more everything, that it was really hard for us to compete. And as they were dying down, we thought, okay, this is the moment we need to capitalize. And so this happened about June of this year, or early summer. And since then, it's been a race. I've been put into this since then, and you know, the whole engineering team have been absolutely incredible at delivering this in record speeds. As some of the community members watching us will know, we shifted the way we work into much more dynamic teams that are called squads, and I think this is really one of those perfect examples how we would be able to deliver. So it's been surprisingly a short journey of really, really active delivery, and I'm very glad that we're here today.
Amazing. But I gotta ask, and maybe Anthony, you can shed some light on this, because the Launchpad was mentioned in the keynote back in 21. For the community members that have stuck around a bit longer. What was the thinking going into this? And I know you're wise when it comes not only to our ICO back in 2017, but sort of looking at other Launchpads. What was the thinking for you, and why was the Launchpad already a part of the keynote back in 21?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So first of all, thank you very much, everyone, for their green heart. It's really the best moment at the highlight of the day. It's true that we work very hard, and on the side note, I'm very happy as well to see the young generation. Danny is one of them. You know, this young generation of PM doing an amazing job motivating the team. I think sometimes, you know, we underestimate how much work it takes, not only from the technical work as well, but motivate the team, explain, because we're in a very, very, very hard journey. I think you touch base that, Danny, but you have to understand that SwissBorg is a family business. We do everything from scratch, and we explain everything to the team, and we take every mission to the heart. And I think that's one of the reasons we're still standing today, right? It's because we have love for what we do. We come to to this industry, not to disrupt the industry. I don't necessarily like this term, but we really want to help the industry to get better. And it's been since day one. So when you look at Launchpad, I think the fundamental base of any capital market and even the crypto market is the financing of early project, right? The seed project and the venture capitalism. If you look at the history of crypto, I think the first ICO or the first initiative to raise money in order to create something alternative to Bitcoin was Mastercoin in 2013, right? And then Ethereum came, did an ICO themselves, was very successful. I think they raised the 5 million or something like this in 12 hours.
18. I think they raised 18 million.
Yeah. Which was a record at that time, right?
It was,
and they know how to address the community. So the beauty of an ICO is not only you receive the funding, but you receive so much feedback as well, right? And new early adopters and users. And then it fueled all the ICO in 2017 and 18 with all the DApp. And I think it was the beginning as well of that helped really to position crypto as these new asset classes all over the world. But the thing is as well is when you look at the traditional capital market, the private equity market, which is the market that is not listed, so usually you can't access to it if you're not an elite investor, institutional investor, is 5 times bigger than the market that is listed. So it's considerable, and it's much more performant as well. It's the best asset classes you can find out in the market. So I think for us is the first idea of the Launchpad is to say, on one hand, we have this amazing project that need financing. And on the other hand, we have this community that is completely cut off from the opportunity to invest. When you look traditionally at the capital market, you get only access to the best project when they have IPO, and somehow all the value has already been sucked in by the very early investors. So of course, it's not always as easy as that. It's very hard to find good projects and to invest in them. But the reality is this is where you get most of the alpha. So the initial idea was to say, how can we get access? How can we enable the access from, let's say, the community back to the project that needs capital? That was the initial idea. And then as you evolve and ourselves as well, we discovered the power of the crowd. I think the idea as well was to say, not only you receive capital when you're a project founder from a community, but as well you receive so much more, such as feedback, new user. I think most of the when you look at the very early project, they fail because they don't have a community, they don't have user. They develop great product, but they never get the chance to find any user in order to learn and shift the product. So we see the value for the entire spectrum. It's not only for the user, for the project as well. And I think what we witnessed in the past 6 months, starting with the collapse of Luna, is there is a need as well for this community, for this ecosystem, this crypto ecosystem, to link stronger the project with their community. It is an ultimate need because when we don't do that and it doesn't happen, what we see is actually we have projects that receive funding from greedy investors, institutional investors, but they are very greedy, and they push the project to do insane growth and produce insane products that are completely disconnected with the value that you can give to the community. So what we learn as well is not only we need to do that for the community, but also we need to do that for the sake of the industry itself. So the goal of the Launchpad, and I want really to emphasize that it's not another Launchpad, and I guess we will have the occasion to discuss that today. It's a Launchpad that will give access to seed investment, as we've seen with many of the Launchpad that exist today, but as well the entire spectrum of investment. So Series A, B, C, D. So you will be able, through the Launchpad, to invest not only in seed investment, but as well maybe in real estate or advanced company. I think we love one day to offer the Fortnite moment.
Okay, wait. Now we got to calm ourselves down a bit. We're jumping way too far ahead. We're getting away the candy way too early. No. We're gonna bring it back. We're gonna bring it back because there's a couple of things I want to check on here. Because what we're highlighting also is the importance of giving community ownership, getting community access to equity, right? And I actually want to put Shane a bit in the spotlight.
Okay.
As a VC, do you think that VCs have played a part in some of the destruction that we've seen throughout the fall with Akoya, with a lot of VCs being investors into some of these FTX, 3 Area Capital, Celsius, BlockFi, just to name a few? What sort of expectation management comes when you onboard a certain type of VCs? How is SwissBorg Venture Capital different? But also, how is this the benefit of putting community in focus here can have more benefits than just having a strong community support? It can actually also directly affect what risk you take on as a business.
Well, first of all, I was loving Danny's intro and also Anthony's vision. Thank you very much for having me on the call today. It's a real privilege to be working on it, and I really join Danny's and Anthony's sentiment. We owe so much to our community that have stuck by us, but also for the engineers that have been working their ass off. The product offering that we have executed in the last 6 months, as everybody is moving away from crypto or becoming problematic with their risk, we've actually been aggressively building and shipping. And so everybody within SwissBorg, I owe an abundance of gratitude for allowing me to be on the team. So thank you. Really, let me just kick it off like this. If we can, we must, right? And we see just a huge opportunity, not just at SwissBorg, but in the venture capital space. And we're really fortunate because we're in this unique position where we have trust, we have community, we have technology, and we have vision. And when you start to put all them together, you realize that it can be so fundamental for the growth of different vertical sections, in particularly venture capital. And so I think really what Anthony was talking about was being able to have a multi-asset platform, which is there for the entirety and development of a potential project, company, or even a listed entity which is looking at some type of tokenization. Like, you have to understand like where we've come from, right? We get that, certainly at SwissBorg, where we've come from the initial inception with Anthony and Cyrus 5 years ago, where we are now. But that's actually not the most interesting part of the story for me. The most interesting part of the story is where we're going. And when you look at it, and it's really ideal to understand where we are in the market cycle of where we are, and in particularly the price action, which is so distorted from the actual building out and where we are on the adoption curve. And so when I really look at opportunities in the space, I'm not looking at the price. I don't care about the price. It has no relevance to me. Obviously, it can be linked to emotion, and emotion is driven by fear and greed, and prices move up and down. And obviously, if you've got bags, you're looking at a value on your SwissBorg app. But try to actually look at where we're going and what's actually happening on the tech side. And when we look at this Launchpad, we're an ideally located, opportunistic community where we can build something that can not just help the project, and I'm all about helping the project, but help our community. And the question that you asked, Alex, was, how has venture operated in the past? Listen, when you look back in hindsight, it's 2020. What I have noticed, and certainly in crypto in the last bull market, is that venture capital investing has really been kept to like the top 10 and 20 venture funds, and it's almost been a deal club. And lucky enough, we get access to some of that because of our relationships, but fundamentally it is a locked, capped table. It's not always going to be like that going forward. And because what you have to realize is that actually, as companies start to scale, they don't just need money. They don't just need experience, but sometimes they actually need community, and they need a much wider investment base. And I think what we really realized is that, well, we sit right in the middle of that, and we can offer that. And through technology, we can really democratize that cap table and say, hey, it's not going to be for all of it, but we can certainly add to it. And that's what's really exciting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I think that was a very elegant answer, and I think you're very right in that. I think that it is a change going forward. It has been sort of a closed seat around the table to get access to. So how is the development of this Launchpad relevant today? Maybe Anthony, if you could give us a little bit of nearly like a comparative analysis overview of, I mean, there are already launch pads around today. Binance have their version, DAO Maker has their version. I know that DAO Maker has maybe raised 40 million in total. So do you want to share some of the differences and how how SwissBorg's approach is quite unique in this?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to me, there is no, and it was not planned when we discussed at the beginning of the year, the keynote, we announced that this year we are going to ship the Launchpad. It was not planned that the market would be what it is. But the reality is there is no better relevant day than today. We are to me, what we see with FTX, Celsius, Voyager is not only the failure of, let's say, CEO or teams to have integrity and to produce a healthy business. It is the failure as well of venture capitalism in this space. Because basically, when you're a venture capitalist, you're supposed to do your due diligence and to invest in the very healthy business. And by the way, most of the people, when they invest, they pay attention to this indicator. They say, oh, if this guy invests, I can trust them to have done their job and invest. And it's not happening. And I think more than not happening, I think my belief is they are part of what happened. They take part in what happened because of pushing too much for too much growth and profit. So they breathe on the neck, in my opinion, of investors and project owner to focus on profit and growth and insane growth instead of delivering value on the long term. So there is no better moment than now. Now the reality is when we look at the Launchpad in the space right now, and there is few of them, as you mentioned, that are famous. So DAO Maker is one of them. But when you look at the money they've raised until now, it's only 40 million. So in a sense, it's insignificant. If you look at the figures of venture capital only in crypto, since the beginning of the year, we have 28 billion that has been invested. So 40 million is insignificant compared to the volume that actually happened with professional investors. You know, guys, that we use Fireblocks as a custody. It's a very strong company, and they have raised recently 550 million. So you see the asymmetry of power. Binance, you mentioned it, very good project as well. I mean, a very good launchpad when you look at their return of investment, but very small amount. The total amount of money they've raised until now is 130 million. And the list goes on. ICOs most probably is the one that offered the debust opportunity. And since they exist, 1 billion. Again, it's good amount of money, but it's insignificant when we look at the size of the total market. So for us, the Launchpad aim not to only be a tools of growth, because that's what I see with the other Launchpad. What they want is to sell you $10, $20 ticket, that then you have a reason to subscribe to their service, so to belong to their platform. So guys, they optimize. They don't come with a Launchpad with the idea of changing something, of fixing something. For me, their vision is more to say, we are going to use this elegant seed investment to acquire user cheaply. And it's part of the game, right? I do expect, don't get me wrong, I do expect that this Launchpad, one day, for example, we at the venture capital, we have been invested with Sweatcoin, and it's a big community. So having the opportunity to perform the Launchpad would have been huge for us, even in terms of growth. But as well, it is not only about growth, it's about giving opportunity and carrying this opportunity with the community. So there is not a better time. And I think as well for the ecosystem to grow in general, and then I'll hand over to Shane, because I think he has a lot to bring to the conversation. But I'm personally, you know, guys, for the guys that know me, I've been following DeFi since the early days of DeFi, and I think for the DeFi to grow where it is right now, we need, and there is this movement that is called the real world assets, and that's what we need. We need real estate. We need businesses, strong businesses that operates with high revenue and very clear business line to be tokenized and bring into DeFi that it can enable a new wave of growth and an investment opportunity for DeFi. And by positioning ourselves as multi-asset launchpad, we enable this new wave of DeFi to happen as well. So I think it's essential for SwissBorg app, for our community, but for the entire ecosystem as well. So this win-win-win alignment is always what we're looking for.
Yeah, Anthony, I mean, you've touched on something there that's actually really interesting. The current launchpads, when you look at volume, which has been raised in entirety compared to a traditional venture fund, I mean, it's minute, and so that's kind of interesting to me. So, you know, is it just a launchpad which is there to get transactions related around, you know, deal by deal, which I believe it is, and actually, when you look at the amount of capital being raised on them, it's minuscule compared to venture. That to me is not a disadvantage. That is actually the opportunity. And the opportunity is, you know, 1% raised on launchpads versus, you know, 99% that's in traditional venture. That's a market that I want to have exposure to, right? Which is the 99, and we can. And I think what we have to look about is that we're not a transactional launchpad where it's like we're going to get a deal, everybody's going to join, there's going to be a huge whitelist, everyone's going to get a minute of it, and then everybody has no traction and basically moves on. What we're looking at SwissBorg is to have a product offering to our users, which we can actually build momentum, scale, and value across multi-assets. That becomes interesting. And it becomes interesting because when you think about the vision of that, we're almost like a magic gateway for traditional companies to come in to the crypto space. And what nicer people to welcome in as our community. Let's bring them all through that magic gateway, because actually the size and scope that they have and the opportunities that will give us as a community members is massive. So why would we be looking at a deal by deal transaction? That's not what it's about. There's a much bigger picture here, and we have to seize the day to understand what that is and execute on that mission.
Beautiful. Can we give some concrete example? Like, what do we mean for the person that just joined on? What do we mean with a multi-asset launchpad? Can we give an example on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, most of the launchpad will be focusing on tokens at the seed level most of the time. And what we mean by multi-assets is we might you know, for example, we have good friends in Switzerland that are called Folkestone, and what they do very well is they enable capital to be invested into real estate. So you know that real estate in Switzerland is very expensive. So usually it is reserved to institutional investors because you need, you know, very strong capital in order to invest in anything in Switzerland, beside, you know, residential estate. And what they do basically is they offer anyone to invest. It's still expensive. It's 25K, but they give you the chance to invest in real estate that usually you will not get the chance to invest when you're early investor. So that's the kind of initiative we can support through the multi-asset launchpad, which in return will enable the tokenization of this investment, and hopefully one day can be used into DeFi processes, right? So we're not yet there, but I think that we see this new protocol, Goldfinch, Centrifuge, all these guys, that's what they are trying to do, right? We can tokenize as well things such as receivables. Receivables offer a very big yielding opportunities. That's something that we can repackage within our launchpad. So the reality is the way we've been designing this launchpad is really taking into account that we shouldn't limit ourselves to only give tokens in a form that we know them today, which is utility token for most, but as well being able to support any asset classes and later on accelerate this tokenization as a result.
Yeah, I think you have to be stewards of that technology, and I don't know when that tipping point is going to happen, but I do know it will happen, and I don't know if it's going to be next year, 5 years, or 10 years. But just to think that you're going to have a launch pad for, you know, early stage C to Series A, you're doing yourself a disservice. If we can build this and scale it like we can, then we should be looking at every opportunity to maximize that. And ultimately, you know, it is the decentralization of everything. So I think being aware of the market size and opportunity is the right way to look at it. Like, let's go big or go home. You know what I mean? And I ain't going home. So Let's
We
go.
wouldn't expect anything less. And this to me also sounds like a great way to really get inflow of capital right into the crypto industry as a general, because this is a way to get capital from traditional finance, from real estate, from utility, from even energy sectors, if I've read Cello and some of these actors now popping up in Africa and the MEMA region. But before we jump forward, I want to hear a bit from Danny. How has it been to develop this? Because the way that Anthony and Shane are talking about is you created a miracle. You're going to solve all our problems.
He looks pretty
How has
relaxed.
this journey been for
Exactly.
you? Have you had any sleep in the last 2 months?
I can't believe how good he looks. Look how relaxed he looks.
Yeah.
I mean,
Beautiful
It's
skin.
all a It's all a
look at this guy.
No,
It's the
how
light.
has it been for you?
You should have seen me a few hours ago. No, listen, the development of this has been absolutely mind-blowing in the sense of not only the commitment from each team member, but far beyond that. I think what's important to quickly note is that we're talking about the Launchpad and this grand vision. I think it's important to still manage expectations among our community. And I must say at this point that this is going to be an MVP. This is going to be a V0 of the Launchpad, right? We continuously develop in iterations. We continuously develop in improvements. And this is here no exceptions, right? The same way that Earn started with one strategy, this Launchpad will continue to grow and eventually become this grandiose concept that we're all talking about here. And more than the decentralization of everything, it's really the aspect is that we're building this with strong foundations so that we can go beyond equity, that we can go beyond the utility token offerings, as you might know of other competitors that have been mentioned before, right? So the tokenization of all these aspects is what we've been building, and taking that into account in the development cycle is quite hard because you need to think quite far ahead. The analogy we use internally, and I think that resonates most, is really the one of a bridge, because that's what this Launchpad is. It's nothing more, nothing less. It's a bridge between not only retail liquidity and demand and different asset types. It's a bridge between Web 2 and real world assets and Web 3. It really combines all of those incredible aspects of investment, of capital markets together. That's the strength. Developing this is not an easy task. We've had great help from so many people that I can't even start to name here, but I can promise you that this is at the moment the top priority for all of us, and the amount of effort put into it is absolutely remarkable. So if the team is watching, this is, I think, the right moment to give a little shout out for all the incredible work that they're doing. I'm here the one being able to talk about this, but really this is nothing without them. So you know who you are. Thank you so much.
Danny, you touch on something really interesting there, and we probably don't talk about it enough, but I think when you look at capital formation, especially in the kind of the last 1 or 2 years in traditional finance, and I use this example sometimes when I see what happened with GameStop and Wall Street Bets, and how what was perceived to be quite an unexperienced, unsophisticated investor base, which in hindsight turned out to be very sophisticated, very knowledgeable, and to understand short interest on a stock and be able to locate that stock and then basically run a squeeze. That was amazing to me. And when you actually delved into the history of it, it was a lot of millennials which their parents had been affected by the financial crisis and the credit crunch and credit default swaps and mortgage defaults, and they became really pissed off with the traditional financial services and center as we know it. So they wanted to prove a point. That was really interesting to me, because it was a movement. It was a movement of culture. It was a movement of knowledge. It was a movement of understanding, which would have been quite financially savvy type products, and they got it and they figured it out. So when I'm looking at, where do we go from here? Well, you've got to look at the younger generations coming up. So when we look at capital formation and we're talking about, the digitalization of everything, it may sound quite alienated right now, but in the next 5 years, I don't think it will be. I think it'll become common practice. So it's interesting that you talk about that, and I think the next generational move that we have into crypto will really understand capital formation, and they will want to be owners. It won't just be like, hey, I'm a user of Facebook, I'm a user of Instagram, I commit to Reddit. Isn't that great? It's going to be like, no, I'm creating the content, right? And I've got followers, which means I've got attention, and actually I'm adding to your platform. Therefore, how am I going to get remunerated? And it's not going to be remuneration like we see with some of the influencers in centralized systems like YouTube. That's not going to fly. They're going to want a piece of the action as per as per the content that they create, and so they should. And the ability of
Before Shane goes ahead and answers the entire
I'm sorry.
next question,
I didn't know that. Was that a question?
I know you haven't seen this, but I can see the next question coming up.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna slow you down a bit, Shane, and I just want to highlight what Danny says here. It's a tremendous work by so many people at SwissBorg. It's an incredible effort by a huge amount of people. And really what we're looking at here is to use NASA and the Artemis project, which is currently happening, as a comparison. This is the first step in a long journey to put a base on the moon. Right, if I've understood the NASA's Artemis project, that's what it is, to put a base on the moon and then beyond, right? We're getting there, but we need to send up a first test rocket to test, to see. We need to manage expectations here with community as well. As you can hear from Shane, Danny, and Anthony, there's tremendous vision about where this is going, right? This is not something that they've drawn up on a little napkin at a restaurant. This has huge... Sorry?
Who knows? Maybe it started on a little napkin on a restaurant, though.
Could be.
Drawing on napkins in restaurants. That's where I get my best ideas.
But just to manage expectations, this is an MVP. We're going to get there, but we're going to do it steadily, because at SwissBorg, in SwissBorg, we trust. We're not going to do something half-assed, excuse my language, but we're going to do it the Swiss way. We're going to do it safely and securely, and we're going to get there step by step. We have an internal joke that we're a bit like the turtle in the industry, and for good reason, as we have seen during this last year. Now to the next question, and Shane, you're going to get this opportunity to answer it after Danny and Anthony. But how do we see the Launchpad benefiting the blockchain community at large? And Danny, if you want to start, and maybe then Anthony, and then Shane, I'm going to pass the mic.
Yeah, I think I can make this answer relatively short, and it comes back to what Anthony was saying before. At the moment, the blockchain industry, mainly in the lens of Launchpad, mainly focuses on utility token offerings, right? You've seen it in the ICO season of 2017. 99% of them died. A few of us survived, such as SwissBorg, and the very last ones thrived, such as SwissBorg, actually, I should say. But the real potential of blockchain lies so much further ahead than just utility tokens and its own native ecosystem. That's where we come back to the notions of real-world assets, capital market integration, and that bridge that we were referring to before, right? That's where this Launchpad is going to come into its true shining. It's by being able to cross that chasm between real-world assets and the crypto industry, bring that interest together, bring the liquidity, bring the offerings of the real worlds, and bring it together in a framework of Web3 and crypto that has that immutability aspect, that transparency aspect, all of the things that we value so much about Web3, right? Combining both of those together is how the blockchain ecosystem will actually grow exponentially and will get to this mass adoption that we've all been thriving for. And this certainly is, I mean, I've said this before, but this Launchpad is potentially the single biggest growth catalyzer for the industry since the beginning of ICOs. That's really where this is going.
Yeah, I try to make it short, but if you look at any project, the most valuable asset, you need money, but more importantly, you need user. And to me, it doesn't make sense when I see this very valuable project raising a ton of money with A16Z or all these guys that what they do, they just collect money. They're just liquidity provider, right? They collect money with their friends. They assemble these big funds. And because there is this facility, all the projects go to there. And then they try to find project and they organize airdrop and etc. And I believe we can come together and organize a Launchpad where you can put your money or you can put your hard work, right? Being a user, testing, bringing a lot to the project. And we just find a better alignment because liquidity provider at the end, since their only purpose is to make money, they will never get interest in your product. They will never get interest into understanding how can you drive long-term value. What they want is to say, how can I, in the shortest time, make most of the money? Because then I need to invest this money, roll back this money to another project. And I believe the beauty of the community is not only they invest, we all want to make money, that's fine, but there is people that really fall in love with the project. And I think when you look at SwissBorg, we have this OG that were with us at 5 years ago, and they're still here, right? Putting heart and being here, and we become, there'll be this football fan club, right, team, and that's the beauty of it. And you need that even as an entrepreneur. it makes your heart very warm, because the journey of an entrepreneur is not linear. There is up and down, right? There is pump and dump as well. And this is the beauty. And that, to me, is our mission is there, is to bring the love that we receive. We were lucky enough to receive that at SwissBorg. And we need to show to the blockchain community, these new founders, the path, the way. And the Launchpad is the way.
Yeah, I think just following on from Danny and Anthony, I think it's about network effects, right? We have to realize that we're early, we're super early, and we're in a technology which is the potential to change the world. We all believe that. That's why we're here. That's why we show up. That's why we stay in the game. And ultimately, projects, and particularly early stage projects in general, even just normal business is tough, right? Like, 9 out of 10 businesses usually fail. Now you put an early stage technology over the top, and now you put crypto with a 24/7 listed token attached to it, and look at where we are in that cycle. Like, business is hard. It's really, really hard. So you need to have as much attention and scale to that as possible. And so when times are tough, when times are hard, you need community, you need support, you need people that are passionate, you need people that are believers. Like, that's what it's about. It's about believing when everybody is a disbeliever, an unbeliever. It's about seeing things that no one else sees. That's what makes you succeed. I mean, like, just looking at the markets now, it's the biggest asymmetric return I've ever seen. This makes careers. And so we have the ability to make founders, companies, projects. We have the ability to be tellers of that story. So I think for us, it's an extremely exciting position to be in, and we have to take advantage of that. But let me just also say that there is no crystal ball. We won't always get it right. We don't have a magic wand. We're going to play a part in that. But there is so many other key attributes that have to happen. And I think at the venture side of stuff, we look at things almost in a project by project valuation basis. And Alex and myself have been real pioneers of the 6 T's, and it talks about, the team, and you've got to have the right team, and you got to have a team that when it's really tough, right, that they will get going. And you've got to have a team that, when the market falls and collapses, right, and there's absolutely decimation of all projects around, you got to have a team that have that Northern Star, that have that vision to pursue. And that's tough. Getting up every day when you're getting knocked back and knocked back and knocked back is difficult. You got to get traction. Traction is another T in our 6T format. You got to get people to not only believe, but actually to start to use, right? There's no point having the fastest car on the grid if you don't have an engine, because you're not going to get traction on those tires. And when lights go out, you're not going to move. So you need to have traction, or you need to be able to show traction. Of course, you need to have terms and conditions for our community where the terms and conditions are favorable. It's not a winner takes all. You have to be able to realize that this is early stage investing, and for that, there is a high risk, and for that high risk, you need high returns. If they execute, you need to be able to be remunerated for that, right? So terms and conditions falls onto tokenomics as well. You can't be out there raising a fund and 90% of the money raised goes to the founders, right? Because that's not going to help the project. So the tokenomic structure has to be right. And a thing I always talk about to the venture team and to SwissBorg at whole, or to anybody that will listen, is your timing. It's got to be the right time. Being early is like being wrong. So your timing has to be right. And when you look at all those attributes to the 6 T's, they're things that, hey, we don't have a crystal ball, but we're going to work day and night to try to find the best deals to fit within our understanding of the offering, to invest alongside our community, whereby we can come together and hopefully be successful. But it's tough, and this is an MVP. But isn't it great that we've started the process? Isn't this a wonderful time to be investing? Hell, if we get this right, then it's another product. It's not just talking about the smart auto routing. It's not just talking about Earn. It's not just talking about, the thematics. We now have what I believe to be, and what I'm very passionate about to be, an ultimate competitive edge. And also, it's going to be a lot of fun, right? Because meeting people and seeing them achieve their dreams, having success shared is the best success. So for me, it's just a wonderful time to be looking at this. And I come back to say how excited I am.
The only thing I want to say with that is, Shane, it's not an if, it's when. And I want I want to give a big shout out to Clearing Crypto, Toby, Dadex. I've seen so many of our hardcore OGs. Like, community is so big at SwissBorg. We wouldn't be anywhere without the community that drives.
Alex,
Clearing Crypto, I don't know if you've seen, but just in the last 3 days, I've given away over 21,000 in CHSB in the tournament. If you're not
from your own wallet?
Yeah, I was going to say.
Okay, wait, I need to clarify. It's not my wallet. It's more like Anthony's wallet. So, there are huge tournaments. We're trying to give back. CC, you're a champion. Our entire SwissBorg family, Jamie, everybody. We have the best community. We're so very proud to have you and so very thankful.
Alex, just to finish on what just Shane say, I mean, to me is I see some question about due diligence, but if you look at the track record of the most successful investor of all time, such as Peter Thiel that invests in the seed of Facebook and all this, all this gang, the best investors are usually ex-startupper. It's guys that have been through the journey, that understand in depth what is the journey. So the beauty of SwissBorg is we've been through this journey and we're still going through this journey, right? So it's only the beginning, but we know what are the ingredients that make a successful seed investment because we've been there. And we've been as well in contact with other teams, feeling them and knowing what are the ingredients. And as Shane mentioned, team is very important, especially in the very early days. It's important ever, but in the early days, it makes everything. So investing with SwissBorg as well is I would trust personally SwissBorg or equivalent people that have been through the journey more than anyone else. We have the World Cup right now. If you look at the French football team, they are amazing because the coach was a champion. So if it goes to speak with the player, they have a respect because he's been through the journey and I understand. I think it's one of the key elements of why our Launchpad as well is going to be different, is because we've been through the journey of creating a successful startup.
Which leads us to the next question, which is going to be, is there a difference between the IFO Launchpad that was presented last year to what you're producing today? Who want to take the torch on this one?
Yeah, I'll take it. The product always evolve, right? I think that's one of the components of SwissBorg. We push ourselves to always evolve as we see as well opportunity in the market. So I think the Launchpad has been designed today, and we are going to see a first, let's say, demo of this Launchpad, not today, but in the coming days, is much more.
That was close. Everybody got a little bit nervous there, just going, oh, he better not. No.
But yeah, no, it's a much advanced version. So first of all, it is standing on a website, on a web version. It's a web version. So we've made the evolution of the app where we have a wallet connect. I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but anyway, the app itself will be used as an authentication mechanism and transaction mechanism, but everything will be on web and mobile compatible. But it opens up so much perspective for what can be built out of that. So it's really an improvement compared to what was presented at the keynote.
And right, isn't this better? We want to have a product roadmap that continues to develop as we learn, as we improve, as new technologies and possibilities emerge. We want to adapt. We want to make sure that we continue to challenge and push the boundaries of what's possible. That's what we do here at SwissBorg. I also want to ask maybe Danny, what's next for the Launchpad? Sort of how Anthony shared a little bit here, but what's the Series A?
Serious question.
Yes, that's a big question. I think that's going to be an answer for all three of us.
And cut. No.
If anybody who went on the Launchpad website since I think Friday afternoon would have seen that there's a new button on the Launchpad that says View Schedule, and the View Schedule you can see a little bit of what's going to happen with this famous Series A. We haven't said much about it because really the focus until now was on the Launchpad, but naturally, as we were building this Launchpad and seeing what was happening around us contextually with the market, we're trying to find what would be the ultimate first use case to bring this Launchpad forward and show really not only our confidence, but the potential value of it. And we quite naturally landed on this Series A. I'm not really sure how much about this I'm allowed to say yet. I think the person that has the best authority about this is Anthony, so I'm going to lead most of the details up to him to say or not. But what I can say about the Series A is that for our community members watching us today, I'm more excited about the Series A than I am about the Launchpad. And I've developed the Launchpad. It's without doubt the single most incredible growing opportunity for every single one of us in terms of incentive alignment, in terms of personal maturation, and within the community that we've ever provided. We've all started as simple token holders. We've entered this amazing community. We grew through it. We went through the premium tiers. We are all here now in this as one big, happy, lovely family with green laser eyes produced by Romain and green hearts everywhere. And now we have the opportunity for not only the next step, but probably the ultimate step, and that's to become partners. I'm going to leave it there.
Wait, what? you can't pitch it that up and go,
Yeah.
maybe the next step is partners.
Danny's just done a mic drop.
Okay, Anthony, I don't know how you're gonna, but here's the mic. You can pick it up and go for it.
You say, though, I think initially when we conceived the multi-asset launchpad with this vision that we just discussed, then the next question was, what would be the credible candidate that would just make this vision a reality? And we brainstorm all together, and we find out that SwissBorg will be the perfect candidate, and we should start there. Because actually, there is no better company. We've been, since day one, only partners. We are the most, let's say, pure kind of investment company or crypto company you can find out, because the partners, the executive, are the shareholders. And I think it came very logically to say, yes, it should be us, because there is no better use case than us in enabling this vision. And that's what the series is going to be about. That's the topic I think we are going to discuss a lot, from this day till the end of the year. And that's just logical. I think for us, that was the logical next step.
There's a saying, don't ask anybody to do anything that you wouldn't do yourself. And I think what you're saying, Anthony, is you were like, we're just going to do it ourselves. We're going to be first. We're going to be first We're going to be first out the door. We're going to lead by example is what I was saying earlier on. And that shows, that shows a lot of guidance, that shows a lot of influence. And I think that's always been the way that yourself and Cyrus and the rest of the executive team have done it, is like lead by example. And I think that's a really nice way to start on it. So do we have more questions on this, Alex? How are we going to go from here?
Yeah, I want to know, can employees participate in this as well? Or to what extent it's open for everybody?
Is that a question? Yes.
Listen, I have
Okay, we're going to see.
I'm going to participate. That's all I can say, because I have no equity at the moment in SwissBorg. That's hand on heart. So this is the way to go forward. So absolutely. Well, I think what Shay was saying is that it is the ultimate sign of putting our money where our mouth are, really, and leading here the way. So the first of many, but certainly perhaps the most exciting one to begin with.
So you heard it here, community members. There's going to be an opportunity for everybody that wants to, for everybody in the SwissBorg family, to actually become partners, to be equity partners in SwissBorg, within not too distant of a future, which I think it's cool on so many levels, and it really decentralizes the ownership of crypto. It puts exactly what we said, put our money where our mouth is. It is quite a SwissBorg thing to do, to start by leading with example, putting ourselves out there first. We're gonna see if we're getting close to the mark where we need to start.
Alex,
Sorry, Danny.
I can go for a bit like for what's going to happen next steps precisely on a low level, how people can get involved and how this is all going to look like.
Yeah, we'd love that. How are we gonna, from your team, gonna communicate? The short to medium term. That would be awesome, Danny. Love to know that.
Absolutely. So how are we going to get business partner with Anthony and be at his level, right? That's the question. The answer to that is, if you go on the website at the moment, you'll see a countdown. That countdown is about to, I think it's less than a day left. It's 0 in a few hours. And around 2 p.m. tomorrow, we are going to release the entire Series A page behind. So you'll see the Launchpad is structured as this Launchpad page, and within it, you have the individual products. At the moment, you can see the SwissBorg Series A. In the future, you'll see many, many more. Once that's live tomorrow, you can click on it and you have all the details about exactly what this is about, why you should do this, for what reasons, what are the benefits, what are the potential risks, everything in true SwissBorg fashion transparency. We are going to put this forward. This website will continue to evolve week by week, so there's always a reason to come back, and we have an amazing opportunity for you to get to be involved early. This is as well where premium comes back into it. So we're really trying to tie everything together here. More information will come tomorrow. There's going to be a big communique as well about in a written form that's going to give you a lot of information. It all starts tomorrow at 2 p.m. So keep tight.
Okay, I had no idea what we were able to say here, Danny, but I love it. So for anybody interested, for anybody listening to this, head to the website, for God's sake. Make sure that you're there at 2 p.m. tomorrow, because you're going to find out exactly, or you're going to find out more about the scope of the project. Keep tuning into the webpage, because there's going to be more and more information being released. If you have friends and family that you want to get them into the SwissBorg community, share it with them. Is there anything else that we want to share with our loving community before we start rounding up this AMA?
Yes, it's happening. Yes, there will be /SB utility attached to the Launchpad. We are going to answer all these questions. And you guys can trust us. I think we've been showing in this market that we've been very resilient. Integrity is the number one criteria to belong to the team. I love the team that I'm working with. Look at these guys. They come with their heart. They really want to fight. Alex joined us recently, Danny, Shane, and we like a family. And I think it transpired to our community, and the community give back. And it's hard to explain in words sometimes, but it's just happening. And you guys are going to be partners soon. And yeah, let's be tuned. We can't answer everything tonight, but it's going to be an amazing time. It's just on the beginning.
Anthony, it's nice how you refer, and I think I've picked this up just talking to you previously. It's nice how you refer as partners, and I think really that's what it kind of comes down to, not just a token holder, but a partner in the business. An ownership type structure and a shared mutual respect. I like that. I like that partner, and you've talked about that a little bit before. It's so much more. It's really part of the journey, right? Being a not just a part of the journey, but being a partner in the business.
And more importantly, sorry, Danny, but we pioneering a new way to do business, right? Together with the community. It doesn't matter the size of the business. It's not, we're $1 billion company, so now you cannot invest. You're just as good as customer. That's all you can be. And I think to me, it's showing the path to this new generation of entrepreneur. Anything that you do, you want to build great product, but in my opinion, you need to inspire a new generation of entrepreneur to have best practices, and it's more than needed today, because otherwise it's another massive step back.
And so I suppose, going from a user of a product to being a partner in the business, how do you think in the future that partner will react to developments, how he or she will tell the story of being a partner, how will they use those products or services, how they will be remunerated going forward? Because being a user, being a partner, it's a different mindset, right?
Absolutely, but the goal of everything that we do is to reach better alignment. It's to reach this win-win situation. And I think one of the incoherences, if I might say, that capital market do not solve in its form today is the misalignment between stakeholders, shareholders, user, and the people that build the product. Yeah. And I guess here we have a unique occasion to align everyone. to the same, because if I'm a user and a shareholder and I'm a stakeholder, either I receive by using the product or either I receive by being a shareholder. But it's a win-win situation. I don't have to worry about it because I receive value, whatever value can be transmitted in a fair and with integrity and with pure alignment, which is ultimately what we need. FTech situation is not only one guy, it's a bunch of guys, a misalignment that drive the company to, and we're paying the collateral.
Yeah.
That's the crazy situation we are in, is we didn't take any upside and we're paying the collateral. And that shouldn't never happen again. And we have the occasion to create a reality where it doesn't happen.
And of course,
go ahead, please. You had something to say.
No, I mean, Anthony, you resumed it very well. I don't think I could say it any better. I think it's just the epitome of a maturation process that begins at the highest possible level with the industry that we grow as SwissBorg, and now we're translating to our community as well, right? And it comes back to what you said earlier, Shane. With you started as a token holder, you went to community member, now a partner. It's everybody matures through this, and as we weather bear markets and we keep going strong, really this Series A is also there. I think it's important to say, for us to now become market leaders, right? That's where we come back to the very first thing we said at the beginning, is that this started when the others collapsed. So we're now looking at this Series A as a possibility to look at this fragmented marketplace that's left in shatters by all of these people that didn't do the due diligence that they had to, that didn't do treasury management like we did, and to now consolidate this and emerge through it as potentially market leaders. This is what this Series A is for. It's a Series A for strength. It's a Series A for European market leadership. And it sounds grandiose, but it really comes down to that. And being able to do this with a community at your back instead of VC companies that look at quarterly, OKRs, it makes all the difference in the world. I think we have the best headwinds possible to come out of this stronger and more bullish than ever before. And this naturally will translate to CHSB and translates to the entire ecosystem as it grows. And I think that was just my final point. So what an exciting time.
Amazing. So just a big shout out to our loving community. A big thank you to everybody at SwissBorg who's been working on this and who's been pulling the ship through these market times. It's an amazing effort by everybody. Just to summarize, we need to manage expectations. We have a long journey ahead of us. We're going to the moon. We're putting a base on it, but we need to start somewhere. This is an MVP. Daniel, you and your team and everybody extending incredible work. Stay tuned on the landing page tomorrow, 2 p.m. Even more information are going to go live. We understand that everybody has a ton of questions, most likely, and we look forward to answering them in Discord with our community. As we always do, we put community first. We're community-centric. In SwissBorg, we trust. Is there any last final words, or should we round it up here?
I think you've done a great job hosting this today, Alex. Thanks very much for putting it together. Always great to hang out with Danny and Anthony. But as I think we've all said, thanks very much for the engineering team, the support, the back office, the marketing team. We are family, and I absolutely love that about that. And so, thanks to everybody involved. This is a group effort across all departments at SwissBorg. So anyway, thank you very much. I'll pass it over to you.
Well, I can just end it with, sorry, Anthony, go ahead if you had some final words.
No, just a final word. It's MVP, but with SwissBorg standard, which means it's going to be the best product no matter what. Even at the
love
MVP
that.
level.
Anthony's got his fighting talk on. Yes, it's taken an hour, but he's coming out of the ring. I love that.
I love it. We got it.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Danny.
As
Thank
always,
you, Shane, for being here.
Stay healthy, stay wealthy, and love our CHSB. Thank you all so much. Have a great afternoon.
Thanks, guys. Have a great evening. Thanks.